You might recall that during the segment that I did on putting the hinge on, I talked about making the hinge narrow enough that it didn't come too close to the edge. One of the reasons that I made that comment, made that statement, is that when you're putting the glue on to cover the bellow, what often happens is that right here, at this point right here, the glue is going to get on the hinge if it's too close. You see, this area over here is far enough away that the glue is not going to get on the hinged area, but on this side it is. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to trim this off. I'm going to trim this off just a little bit so that it's about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the wood. This is going to help prevent that problem and give you a bellow that is nice and flexible. There you go. You see that'll be nice and flexible now because the glue's not going to get from the edge here where we're going to glue it to the inside. Another thing that I've noticed on a lot of the old player pianos is that, I don't know how well you can see this, but I've trimmed away just a tiny little bit of the wood right down here at the end. Here again, this is done. This is done to help prevent the bellow from becoming what's known as hinge bound. And what that is, it's where the glue gets into the hinge area and causes the bellow to become stiff. So, you know, taking a little bit of wood, it's not going to hurt the seal. There's plenty of area there to make a nice tight seal with the cloth. And this just helps prevent a problem. Another thing that you want to check before you actually start building the bellow is that your hinge is free enough. Your hinge is free enough that it takes absolutely no resistance or no pressure to get the bellow to collapse 100%. Or you got this. If the hinge has got a lot of glue right here, at this point right here, sorry I'm out of frame, has a lot of glue right here, it'll have a tendency to be stiff. You don't want that to be. You want this to be nice and free. And we've already got the cloth all measured up. There are a couple of techniques that can be used for putting glue on. The one that I use most frequently is just a small brush. See, that's in frame. I got my glue here. It's been warming up. Shake it up to make sure it's nice and mixed. I'm just going to squirt some of it into there. On small areas like on the ends, I might just take a small brush like this. And just tap the glue on. I know that you probably can't see that. But what's more important than that is actually the technique of applying it. Instead of taking this and putting it straight down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it at an angle here, and then I'm going to roll it over and place it. Let's see if I can get the light here so that you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to roll it over and place it. And then again, when I do this side, try to get my hand out of the way. I'm going to roll it over and place it and then squeeze it. And what that does, and notice I'm pulling the cloth right here, what that does is it keeps the glue from getting on the inside side here by kind of squeezing it over rather than putting it straight down, which would cause the glue to squeeze out evenly all the way around. That helps prevent the glue from getting inside here, which would, of course, put sharp edges on the glue that could possibly cut the bellow. From there, we just go on to getting the glue on here. I find the center just by moving this back and forth to see where it is the center area. I push one board down, push the other board down. You can't really see this. I'm actually not pushing them flat. I'm actually pushing them at an angle slightly this way and then flat. Again, trying to keep the glue from getting down inside here. Okay, I don't want the glue to get down in there if I can avoid that. If you're not sure if you've got a good seal, you can pull this back up and you can look to see the shadow, and you can see that there are areas here that are a little void. So we go ahead and put on a little more glue. I'm actually rolling the brush as I'm doing this. Bring it back down, find the center, push, push, a little tiny bit of stretch, and then roll it over, and then I drag it. I'm using my thumbs to support the back. And if you really want to double check, to see whether you're doing a good job, you can go ahead and pull it back off again. And you can see now we've got a nice pattern on here, a nice pattern of glue on here, so that we know that we've got a good seal all the way around. Again, we'll put another final coat of glue on. If you feel the brush start to drag a little bit, that's an indication that the glue is not flowing. The glue has to flow on. And we do it a final time. And we pull it over. Push it on down so we got a nice good seal there. Go to the other side. The glue will stay hot enough in the in this tin here, or in this little plastic thing. It'll stay on there good enough for 3 to 4 minutes. Usually have plenty of time. You notice how this pulled away a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and touch it right there a little bit more, where I pulled it away. Again, find the center, push it down, pick it back up to check it. And actually this is starting to get, I spent a little bit too much time on my explanation, and as it turns out, my glue is starting to set up now a little too fast. I would normally keep this glue in the pot. I don't know if you can see this. I keep the glue in the pot like that, okay, so it would stay hot. And I mean, I can actually see that the glue is starting to gel a little bit. So should wait until it softens up again. Because if I don't, I'm not going to get a good seal. I'm pressing down, pull it back up. And you see that the glue isn't, I haven't got a good seal because my glue isn't hot enough. I can see it's softening up very quickly here now that it's back in the hot water. And it's flowing much nicer now. So we should be able to get this without any problem. Find the center, pull it over, tack it down. And although I know we got a good seal, we'll just go ahead and look at it anyhow. We got a good seal there, so we'll put that back down, pull it over. I'm not really stretching the cloth as much as I am. You notice my fingers are on the inside of the edge there, so I'm pushing the glue out in that direction. Here again, my desire is to prevent the glue from getting down on the inside edge of the bellow, which could cause it to cut the cloth once it gets dry, because hot glue gets very hard when it dries. At this point, what I normally do is to cut these edges right here. The reason that I do that is that when this folds over, if I don't have the resistance of this bunch of the cloth, it has a tendency to lay over more smoothly, and you have less chance of having a slight air leak right at the corner. It's just a little extra step I take. And then by eyeball, I eyeball the length of that, and I cut that so that it's 2/3 to 3/4 of the length. And my phone is ringing. Now at the very end, so we'll go ahead and fold this on in. If you want, what you can do before you put the ends on, you can go ahead and you can trim off this cloth. This makes it a little bit easier to put on the glue on the hinged end. We just have that, and you can even cut these down. I like to have a little bit of cloth to work with when I do that. I find it just a little easier. Make sure you got that squared up. Fold these on down. Get your glue. I try to put the glue on just the wood. I try to stay away from the hinge. Try not to get the glue on the hinge. And then I push it right from the center with my thumb. I just push it on over. Let me get that picture in here. And I feel a little bit of a squeeze come out the end, which means that I've got a good seal all the way. You can always check it and see, just to double check if you want. You can usually feel it under your fingertips. Feel the glue squeezing. Here, of course, you want to put the glue all over the whole area here, but just on the wood, on this part. Again, try to stay away from the hole, because you don't want glue down inside the hole. That's what causes the hinge to become hinge bound, or the bellow to become hinge bound. And then roll it on over and squeeze it on out. And go ahead and trim off the excess. And you're done. And let it dry. I'm going to go ahead, I normally would go ahead and go back here, and you can see this, might be able to see that shiny part right there. That's because I didn't do a good job of trimming it. And normally you can just run the blade along there a second time. And you kind of want to get this off before the glue is 100% dry, because once the glue is 100% dry, it gets pretty hard, and it's a lot harder to cut. And when it's nice and fresh like this, it's still pretty easy to cut. It comes off fairly easily. Like I say, once it dries, it gets hard. And then we have one bellow. It's all completed, ready to be installed. I'll go through the installation process on the next step.